Hi, this is Skoggit, and it's time for Storytime with Skoggit. And today's story is entitled Mama's Squirrel. And before I get started, like I do on every story time, I crack myself open an ice cold Lone Star. Then we begin with the story. God always have an ice cold Lone Star whenever you're telling a story. At least that's what I do. This story is about Mama Squirrel. Kind of amazed and just captivated by it, as back when my mother was alive, I went to visit her, and I went to visit her and my dad, and she lived in Fresno, California. And I remember getting up one morning early, sat down at the table, and was waiting on the coffee to make. And my mother got up. She got up and went into the kitchen, and I remember her coming in there. And she said, "Well, it's time for me to feed my squirrel." And I said, "Mama, you have a squirrel?" She said, "I have a squirrel and I'm going to feed it." I said, "Okay." So my mother got some nuts and some fruits, and I was kind of looking at her as I sat there, and the way my mother's house was made, we had a kitchen, and then we had she had a big like a patio window. No, there's a lot of houses that has that. It's got the sliding glass door and everything, and it's just a big patio window. What leads out to the patio. And she was getting her food ready for the squirrel, and I was sitting there, and she told me, she said, "Well, the squirrel should be coming. Do you want to go ahead and pour yourself a cup of coffee and come over here and I'll show you how I feed it?" I said, "Well, sure." So went ahead and poured myself a cup of coffee, and my mother went to the sliding glass door, what leads to the patio, and there was a squirrel. A squirrel what came up to the window and just was like there at the window or that door. And so my mother went ahead and opened the sliding door, knelt down, put her hand out where she had the nuts and fruit, and the squirrel ate out of her hand. And I was like really amused by that, or amazed by that, because that is a wild squirrel. It's not tame. It's not like a pet. But my mother was able to feed it. And I was really amazed by that. I said, "Mom, how do you do that?" And she said, "Oh, one day I was like, it came up to the window or come up to that sliding door. Sorry, not the window, but the sliding door. Keep saying window. I guess because it's glass. And something else, my mother used to keep that glass so clean that I ran into that thing so many times. It's like that commercial where that them birds are laughing, used to be. I haven't seen that one in a while, but anyway, I used to keep running into it, and she'd laugh about it because I thought it was open. Anyway, that's another story. But anyway, she fed the squirrel. And I was like so amazed by that. I said, "How can you feed a wild squirrel?" She said, "I don't know. It just come up to the window one day, and I was there and opened up the door and handed it some fruit and nuts. And it comes every day." And when my mother passed away, and I went over there for her funeral to let her lay to rest. Me and my brother was sitting there on the couch, and from the couch you can see, like, well, of course there's the double glass door. The little squirrel come up to the window and just was there. I went and got some nuts and opened up the sliding door to give it to the squirrel, and it ran away. So I wasn't able to feed it, but my mother was. That's just, I guess the squirrel sensed her kindness and just the good person she really was. And that makes me feel good. My mother had a squirrel that wasn't really a pet. It was a wild squirrel, but she was able to feed it. And that is like really unbelievable, because you know, animals, they if they're wild, they won't go near you. They'll run off. But my mother was able to feed it, and I thought I'd share this story with you. And I don't know what happened to the squirrel after that. It just wouldn't let me feed it. Guess it didn't sense my mother's presence. And that somewhat just really amazes me on animals, how they can sense someone being kind and everything. I'm not a bad person, don't get me wrong. It just, I guess the squirrel didn't sense that I was the right person to feed it. But I asked my mother before she passed, I said, how long have you been doing this? And she told me, I've been doing this for several months. And every morning, that little squirrel would come up to the door, the glass door, and I will feed it. So this is Storytime with Skoggit. Hope you like the story. It just bringing back a fond memory of my mother, and it just when you can, you know, when someone passes and you can remember stuff, what that person did, and everything, it kind of, you know, it keeps their spirit alive, and that's what I do. I always think of my mother and my dad, and me and Mrs. Skoggit talks a lot about it, and all the good times we had, and even, you know, the bad times. So this is Skoggit. I appreciate all you viewers and subscribers out there, and y'all take care.